This is Jolie here for Hooked Media in association with Undisputed, and we are here with Johnny Fisher today and the Bosch Army for one of the biggest fights of your career. I think we met after your last fight at the Copper Box, the Copper Bosch that night, and we were talking about this potential fight against Dave Allen, but it's finally obviously here. It's around the corner, let's just say that. It's good to see you. You look in good shape, and you've got a new mullet. It's good to see.
I've got a little subtle mullet coming on. Well, what it is, I've got a very big back of the head, like a Godzilla head. So the skin phase is just not doing its thing anymore. So I thought, go with the mullet, Aussie style. But
I think everyone is onto the mullet at the moment. I was even thinking...
I've got a mullet as well, and growing one at the same time. Like we didn't do it intentionally, but there's a bit of synergy there.
Yeah, I think there is between the pair of you, just as personalities anyway. Are you going to bring this up at the press conference?
What, the mullets? Well, yeah. We're that sort of bloke, both of us, aren't we? Like the North and South divide is brought together by the old mullet. So I like Dave. I get on with Dave. Look up to him, but that don't mean I'm not going to go and give it hell for leather when we get in the ring, you know.
I feel like he's the same, and you are kind of the newer age version of him. You have obviously got a character that is so normal that so many people can feel like they can relate to you.
Well, I don't try and fake who I am. Like, you're going to just slip up. You've got to be authentic. You've got to be yourself. And Dave Allen does that as well. And if I can go on and fight some of the people that Dave Allen's fought, I mean, like Tony Yoka, David Price, Ortiz, Dillian White, these are all great big names and never been dropped by any of them. And he's a proud fighting man. And I've got a tough task on my hands on the 21st.
I think it's slightly different in the way that you've been managed so well, and I think your aims are slightly different. You could say this anyway, because if you continue to manage yourself so well, then you could have a different career to Dave Allen in that sense, because he hasn't always got past the tougher challenges.
Dave hasn't really managed himself correctly. He admits that himself. He hasn't had the backing, but he admits himself in terms of his own motivation. I'm a very motivated fighter. I love training. I'd do it anyway, even if I weren't a boxer. So it's not hard for me to wake up and want to train every day. I love it. I love doing it. And when you've got a goal at the end of it, that just spurs you on even more. So we are slightly different in that sense, I think, and I think he'd admit that as well.
We spoke last time, and I think it was after the Jack Josie podcast. Are you doing a lot of the rounds? Because I've been seeing this recently. I don't know how recent the podcast was, but you were on Jack, mate, recently as well. When was that?
That was about a month or two ago. We went on there, and yeah, it was really good. I went on with Big John, and it was a good laugh. They were good guys on there.
How was it, like the whole thing? I haven't had a chance to watch it, but like just being on there.
One of the best podcasts we've ever done. Like the questions they asked, they had like little fun games and stuff, and it flowed very easily. So yeah, it was brilliant to be on there. We thank the guys very much.
Yeah, for sure. Now you've been on big cards. You've always had that following. We say this in every interview, but this card, like we're here today at Guildhall. I believe there was like boxing. I don't know if you've heard this. Like 200, 300. Like the Romans were boxing here in some underground.
To not go into a history lesson, but this is the administrative centre of London. It's where laws were made from as early as the 14th century, so it's a very, very interesting and important part of London.
Interesting. And that obviously is necessary for a fight night this big, with the main event being not the Undisputed, but Fury versus Usyk, which is one of the biggest fights of a generation.
Exactly, the epicentre of London to the epicentre of world boxing. That's how we say it.
I didn't know you had this knowledge, a fountain of knowledge inside that brain of yours.
It's not really a fountain of knowledge. I wouldn't go that far, but put a few fancy words in there and it sounds like it.
Found some, like a couple of Chineses as well.
A couple of Chineses, a couple of sweet and sour sorcerer, sweet and sour chicken balls. Big John's the sweet and sour sorcerer, but yeah, but.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just do a couple of predictions before this one. We have Moses Talma versus Dempsey McCain. Dempsey's over there. Moses is around here somewhere. It's an incredible fight, a bit higher up in the heavyweight division. You could be looking at some of these guys in the future, but where do you think that fight goes?
It's a tough fight for both men. I know Dempsey fought on the card with Filip Hrgovic in my Southern Area title fight, and he gave a really, really good account of himself, and it's not going to be an easy fight. Ituma being propped up as the next heavyweight great, and he's looked brilliant so far, and it's be a lot of pressure on him in this fight because Dempsey McKean is a great fighter who can punch. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
There's this guy called, I think, Johnny Fisher versus Dave Allen. How do you think that fight's going to go?
The White Rhino versus Romford Bull. It's got a ring to it, but yeah, listen, if Dave Allen settles into the fight and gets into a rhythm, that's no good for me. And he can hang with the tough boys, the big boys. He's hung with Tony Yoka, David Price, as I said, Ortiz, Dillian White. I've got to be prepared to not just bowl over him in 20 seconds like I did with Babbage.
Fury Usyk.
Fury Usyk. I'm backing Fury all the way. I'm a British fighter. I'm a Gypsy King fan. And I think he's got the tools in his armoury. He could have finished it in round 6, round 7 the last fight. I really thought he was climbing into it. And then credit to Usyk, he just came straight back into it. So it's in the balance, but I'm always going to be supporting Tyson Fury.
I understand why you're supporting Tyson. How do you think he gets it done in this second fight, though, with the first one in mind?
Listen, he didn't have to come in. He came in a bit lighter for this one, I believe, did he? He's a big man, 19, 20 stone. Keep that weight on. Don't have to chase him around the ring. You hold that centre and you use a manhandle him when you can. I know it's easier said than done with someone like Usyk. I know they said, Joshua, you've got to manhandle him. But what is Fury good at? He's a big man, he's a tall man, he's a gangly man, he's got a brilliant jab, he can move very well from his torso, not just his feet. So stand in that pocket sometimes and trade and throw more of them body shots because they were slowing Usyk down.
Do you think that could be a stoppage in that fight as well?
Of course, heavyweight's more than likely a stoppage every single time.
I really appreciate your time. Got a busy day here today, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to the mullet off at the press conference and all the back and forth you two are going to have. It's going to be fun.
Cheers, Joe.
Bye.